Great pleasure to welcome today a man who is no stranger to the world of movies, entertainment, and sports, and he's written a great new book. It's called Tell to Win, Connect, Persuade, and Triumph of the Hidden Power of Story. We're joined by Peter Guber today. And Peter, I know Sarasota is a town that has its own film festival coming up. Have you ever been down here before?
I have been down there. I've been to the whole Tampa, Sarasota, Orlando, all the Florida areas. I go there frequently, from Miami to all the way up north. So I like Florida. I liked it since I was a kid. And I remember driving all the way from the Northeast down there and seeing Stuckey's. Remember Stuckey's?
That's right, Stuckey's,
you'd
sure.
drive all the way to Florida and you'd see Stuckey's. 10 more miles to Stuckey's. 20 more miles to Stuckey's. That was a story I always remembered, speaking about stories.
Yeah, Stuckey was that kind of real sugary candy, too. They specialized in selling. I remember that.
And it was that was my story of being a kid in college, driving to Florida, and you'd see Stuckey's. Oh, here come the Stuckey's, and we would go for hours talking about Stuckey's.
Well, down here, I know they just are building a new film and TV studio down here, so it's a town that's really interested in which is apropos to your book, storytelling. And I just, before I get to the book, I just want to say I enjoyed watching you for many years on the AMC show you did each week.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Now I'm on NBC, doing it on NBC and
Right.
Stars and Encore. Same show. It's fun, but you know the thing is you're an interviewer and you're a host, and you understand this, that the key to the whole thing is that the host must be interested, not just interesting. And it took me about 5 years to learn that. I was trying to be interesting the whole time, and then I learned, wait a minute, I got to be interested, and that's part of storytelling too, telling purposeful stories. When you get in the room with somebody, you got to be interested, not just interesting.
Well, the thing is, and what you did on your show with the interviewing the different actors and directors, but also obviously in your business, you're doing the pitch meetings. I mean, you got to tell a story, make it interesting in about 5-10 minutes to get your movies made, right?
Well, the first thing about telling a purposeful story, as opposed to telling a story, you got to even if you're selling a story for a movie or a television show or anything like that, or a book or anything like that, you're telling the story of a product. And so what you really have to do is you have to ask yourself, what's in it for them? What's in it for that audience? Why should they buy into your proposition? Why should they become fans or advocates of it? And if you don't start with that proposition when you're doing it, whether it's a movie or a television show or a book or a raise or a promotion or a charity contribution, you don't start with that, you're never going to get their attention. If you don't get their attention, you'll never get their intention.
That's right.
So the trick is, you have to do that. You have to recognize that. And when most people try to be interesting, you don't get their attention.
I think what you bring up a great point. I think the art of storytelling, you look at some of the great comedians, I used to be able to see the old films like Bob Hope, Danny Thomas, and those great guys. They could keep your attention with a long story, but I think the attention span, as you know probably better than anybody, has gone down so infinitesimal now. It's got to be harder now to do a storytelling, isn't it?
It's harder to tell a purposeful story. Now, I don't know about storytelling, but a purposeful story, a story that's designed to move somebody to action. It's harder because the bandwidth of all of us is so convulsed. It's so overdrawn by video games and Twitter and social networks and direct media and PC and online and offline and packaged media and the news. There's so much. But that's the way it is. So you have to figure out a way to cut through the cacophony. You have to find a way to get that attention. You have to find a way of what's really they're interested in. If somebody's interested in something, their system will tune out everything, tune out all that noise, and they will stay attentive. You still have to recognize that you have to continue that process. As a storyteller, as a teller of stories, a purposeful story, you have to have acute sensitivity, and you have to be an empathetic listener yourself. You have to recognize when your audience is waning, not paying attention. You have to be really acutely responsible for helping them keep their attention on your story. Otherwise, you lose them, you lose the sale. You lose the tell doesn't work.
I think you mentioned the word right there, listening. I think so many people now have lost that skill, or maybe have not learned to do it properly.
Know that. But you have to recognize that this is a very much faster world than probably both of us grew up in. And the idea is, if you're not willing to continue to learn and grow and have acute sensitivity to what's going on in the world, it's hard to be successful. I don't know what success is for you or for anybody, but I know one thing: if you can't tell it, you can't sell it. I don't care if it's 140 characters. I don't care if it's Facebook. I don't care if it's in a theater room. I don't care if it's in a boardroom. You look at the best people in every single profession. The best people are good tellers of purposeful stories. Whether it's Steve Jobs today announcing Apple, whether it's Obama changing his story back from how he got elected, whether it's the coach Pat Riley of the Miami Heat telling the story of LeBron James, whatever it is, the best and the brightest men and women of all ages really have to and do tell purposeful stories. So it gives you a signal. That is the footprints that you want to look at. And guess what? Here's the good news. You're born that way. You're wired that way. You can be better. You may not be John Grisham. You may not be Pat Riley. You may not be Obama. But you're going to take 15 strokes off your game. You're going to be so much better. And here's the good news.
Peter, I know we have...
Guess what? After 4 hours, you don't have to call a doctor. There's no downside.
That's right. I know we have just limited time today. I just wanted to ask you real quick about the Academy Awards Sunday. A pretty good day for you, right?
Well, we got nominated for 4, and we won the Golden Globe for Best Picture, the film that the company had.
Yeah.
The Kids Are All Right. I've been there 4 other times for Best Picture, and I know the experience of that is pretty exciting, sitting there. But, you know, you sit there and when you do go up and you look at your watch, it's 15 seconds up and down. You couldn't have worked 4 years for those 15 seconds. So you have to recognize that's just part of the process.
Peter, give you a chance now. Where can people get a hold of you and the book?
You can go to telltowin.com or peterguber.com, or you can go to Barnes & Noble or Borders Bookstores or any of the bookstores, favorite bookstores in your area. It's #1 on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Hopefully it'll stay in the bookstores at least another 2 days.
Great. You can also get with Peter on Facebook and Twitter, too. So you've embraced all the new media, Peter.
That's right.
That's good to see. Peter Guber,
I'm everywhere.
Good to talk to you. Hopefully we'll do it again down the road. And next time you're in Sarasota, we'll talk again. Thanks for being with us.
I'd like that. Thanks for the invitation.
Great.